Yeah, if it wasn't obvious that this was a girl's car, then I don't know how to help you. For 2 brief model years in the middle of the 1950s, Dodge attempted to answer a question that probably sounded very clever in a Detroit conference room. What sort of automobile would a woman want? The answer, according to Dodge, involved pink paint, rosebud upholstery, a matching handbag, coordinated rainwear, and enough gold-colored trim to make an ordinary trip to the supermarket feel vaguely like a royal procession. The result was the Dodge La Femme, a rare, beautiful, slightly ridiculous full-size car that remains one of the most fascinating artifacts of post-war American marketing. It was a genuine effort to recognize women as automobile customers, which was progressive in principle, but it was executed with all the subtlety of a powder compact shaped like a steering wheel. Women, of course, had been driving and buying automobiles long before Dodge discovered them in the 1950s. Nevertheless, their importance to the automobile market was becoming increasingly difficult for manufacturers to overlook. Women had taken on a much larger and more visible range of jobs during World War II, and although post-war society tried enthusiastically to return many of them to domestic life, the experience had expanded expectations of independence and mobility. At the same time, suburban growth was changing the way American families lived. Homes, workplaces, schools, supermarkets, doctors' offices, and shopping centers were increasingly separated by distances that made a car less of a luxury and more of an essential household appliance with chrome bumpers. The rise of the two-car family created an obvious opportunity. A husband might take one automobile to work, leaving another family vehicle available for errands, appointments, school trips, paid employment, or anything else that required leaving the driveway. Chrysler's marketing department also noticed that women were influencing family decisions about which automobile to purchase, particularly when it came to styling and color. This was not exactly a minor discovery. It was closer to Detroit finally noticing that half the population had opinions. The immediate ancestors of the La Femme were 2 Chrysler show cars displayed during the 1954 season. They were called Le Count and La Countess and were based on Chrysler Newport hardtop bodies with transparent plastic roofs over their passenger compartments. Le Count was presented in colors intended to suggest masculinity, while La Countess wore dusty rose and pigeon gray. The pair represented the era's almost touching confidence that men and women could be sorted by paint chart. La Countess received enough favorable attention to persuade Chrysler that a production automobile aimed specifically at women might find a market. The project was handed to Dodge, which turned the idea into the La Femme for 1955. It was not a wholly separate model with its own body, chassis, or mechanical engineering. It was an option package applied to the Dodge Custom Royal Lancer, the company's upscale 2-door pillarless hardtop. Dodge described it as a spring special, which was an appropriate term for a car that looked as though it had been decorated by a particularly enthusiastic garden club. Underneath the special colors and accessories, the La Femme was a substantial American automobile. It used a front-engine, rear-wheel drive layout and rode on a 120-inch wheelbase. Overall length was approximately 212 inches, meaning it was more than 17.5 feet long. It weighed roughly 3,400 to 3,500 pounds, depending on equipment. This was not a dainty urban runabout or a compact second car. It was a broad-shouldered, V8-powered Dodge, wearing pink. For 1955, the Custom Royal Standard engine was Dodge's 270 cubic inch Super Red Ram V8 with hemispherical combustion chambers rated at 183 horsepower. An optional power package added a 4-barrel carburetor and dual exhausts, raising output to 193 horsepower. The 2-speed PowerFlight automatic transmission was a popular choice, while power steering and power brakes were available to make the large Dodge rather easier to manage. Mechanically, there was nothing especially feminine about it. The engine did not apply lipstick before starting, and the rear axle displayed no preference concerning its driver's gender. The 1955 body belonged to the first wave of Virgil Exner's transformation of Chrysler styling. It was lower, longer, and livelier than the upright Dodges that preceded it, with a wraparound windshield, thin roof pillars, hooded headlamps, modest tail fins, sweeping side trim, and enough bright work to reflect a small solar flare. In La Femme form, the exterior was finished in heather rose and sapphire white. Gold-colored La Femme scripts replaced the normal custom Royal Lancer identification on the front fenders, making certain that bystanders understood this was no ordinary pink Dodge. The interior was where the concept abandoned restraint completely. Seats were covered in special tapestry cloth patterned with pink rosebuds against a pale silver pink background with pale pink vinyl trim. The steering column, headliner, sun visors, and other interior pieces carried the color scheme through the cabin. Even a driver who disliked flowers would at least have known that the upholstery was making an effort. Behind the passenger seat was a fitted compartment holding a keystone-shaped purse made from pink calfskin and coordinated with the interior. Its outward-facing gold-toned medallion could be engraved with the owner's name in case another woman at the country club arrived with an identical 17-foot Dodge, and confusion followed. The purse contained a face powder compact, lipstick case, cigarette case, comb, cigarette lighter, and change purse. These pieces were produced by the Evans Case Company of North Attleboro, Massachusetts, a respected manufacturer of compacts, cases, lighters, and personal accessories. A second compartment behind the driver's seat contained a raincoat, rain bonnet, and umbrella made from vinyl patterned to complement the rosebud upholstery. Promotional literature even mentioned dainty rain boots, although those do not appear to have formed part of the regular production accessory package. Dodge promoted the complete automobile with the grand slogan, "By special appointment to Her Majesty, the American Woman." It was a phrase that managed to flatter, patronize, and wave from a parade float all at once. The La Femme was assembled at Dodge's main plant in Hamtramck, Michigan, alongside other Dodge automobiles. The special upholstery, trim, scripts, seatback storage compartments, and accessories transformed an ordinary custom Royal Lancer into the finished package. It was therefore less a separate engineering program than an elaborate factory dress-up exercise. Development had concentrated on appearance, fabrics, colors, and personal accessories, rather than changes to driving position, visibility, controls, door effort, cargo access, or other practical matters that might actually have addressed the experiences of a wider range of drivers. It entered dealerships during the spring of 1955, but Dodge did not support it with the kind of nationwide publicity given to some of Chrysler Corporation's better-known specialty cars. Many dealerships never received a demonstrator, and the available sales literature was limited largely to a small folding brochure. A potential customer could not become enchanted by a La Femme she never saw, and many Americans apparently passed through the entire 1955 model year without knowing that Her Majesty had an official automobile. The price did not help its position as a supposed second car. The La Femme package is generally listed at $143. The 1955 custom Royal Lancer hardtop carried a base price of approximately $2,543. Making a minimally equipped La Femme roughly $2,686 before adding such desirable extras as an automatic transmission, radio, heater, power steering, power brakes, power windows, or other equipment. It was therefore a fairly expensive full-size automobile rather than an inexpensive shopping car. The package represented a noticeable additional cost for what was primarily special decoration and a fitted collection of personal accessories. Dodge nevertheless brought the La Femme back for 1956, and letters to dealers described the first version as a stunning success. That statement may have reflected optimism, corporate morale, or a flexible definition of the word stunning. The second-year model received enough changes to qualify as a distinct addition, although the basic idea remained the same. The 1956 exterior abandoned heather rose and sapphire white in favor of La Femme-only shades called Misty Orchid and Regal Orchid. These lavender and purple tones suited the revised Dodge body, which had more pronounced tail fins, altered side trim, and a somewhat more dramatic appearance. The result was arguably even prettier than the 1955 car and slightly less likely to be mistaken for a mobile bowl of strawberry ice cream. Its interior was completely revised. Instead of rosebud tapestry, the seats used heavy white cloth decorated with irregular loops in shades of lavender and purple, giving the material an appearance rather like elegant loop pile carpeting. The headliner was white fabric, scattered with small gold-colored flecks, and the carpeting combined several purple and lavender tones. The pattern was distinctive, glamorous, and extraordinarily difficult for later restorers to reproduce accurately. The fitted purse disappeared for 1956. Both front seat backs instead carried matching storage boxes for the supplied raincoat, rain cap, and umbrella. The rainwear used the same white and gold flecked motif found in the headliner and inside the storage compartments. The removal of the handbag made the second La Femme slightly less elaborate, although it also deprived the car of the feature that would later become its most famous conversation piece. Mechanical changes followed the rest of the 1956 Dodge range. The electrical system became 12-volt, and available V8 power included Dodge's 315 cubic inch polyspherical head engine. The two-barrel version produced 218 horsepower, while a four-barrel power package offered 230 horsepower and 316 pound-feet of torque. Some cars were fitted with additional performance and luxury equipment, and the broader Dodge line offered the potent D500 package with a 315 cubic inch Hemi V8. The PowerFlight automatic gained push-button controls mounted to the left of the steering wheel, advertised as the magic touch of tomorrow. A painted fingernail pressing the drive button appeared prominently in Dodge advertising, just in case anyone feared that an automatic transmission might be too mechanically intimidating without a manicure nearby. Now, from a woman's perspective, the fundamental problem with the La Femme was not that it was pink, purple, floral, or supplied with a purse. A woman could enjoy all of those things without surrendering intelligence, independence, or the ability to understand a carburetor. The purse was beautifully made, the fitted storage was clever, the colors were charming, and the matching umbrella was undeniably fun. The mistake was treating those details as a complete definition of what women required from an automobile. A genuinely woman-centered development program might have asked women of different ages, occupations, heights, incomes, and family circumstances how they used cars and what caused difficulty. Such a program might have examined seat adjustment, pedal reach, steering effort, sightlines, trunk height, door weight, control layout, safety, maintenance information, child access, storage, reliability, and price. Many improvements emerging from that research would also have benefited men, because thoughtful ergonomics and practical design do not belong to one gender. The La Femme instead took a conventional full-size coupe, applied pastel paint and floral upholstery, inserted cosmetics and rainwear, and announced that the female motorist had been understood. It was essentially a stereotype on wheels, shaped by a boardroom's idea of femininity rather than by the varied lives of actual women. Its imagined owner was elegant, married, fashion-conscious, fond of coordinated accessories, occasionally caught in the rain, and apparently unconcerned about fuel consumption, parking a 17-foot car, loading groceries, or paying the bill. This was the futility of designing a women's car, as though women formed a single taste category. Some women loved pink, some hated it, some wanted performance, some wanted economy, some wanted luxury, and some simply wanted the same good automobile that any sensible buyer wanted. Men could also appreciate rose-colored paint, comfortable upholstery, or a useful umbrella. Gender-specific decoration divided customers according to stereotypes, while overlooking the more valuable task of making cars adaptable to individual human beings. As a woman myself, I don't care if a car is pink, blue, flame red, or aquamarine. I drive a 1999 Ford Mustang GT, perhaps the most masculine-oriented ideal for an American motor. Yet I and many other women find these cars attractive not just aesthetically, but in terms of performance, livability, economy, reliability, and just the general enjoyment of driving around in your own lovable personal chariot. As for the matter of all girls loving the color pink, I don't mind it. I mean, it's not my favorite color, and the last time I wore pink was probably a training bra my mom got me in a pack when I was about 12 years old in the late 1980s. Like I said, some like it, some don't, but cutting a huge chunk of your potential customer base out of the market because the whole idea is centered on the color scheme is a mite short-sighted. The La Femme also suffered from uncertain market positioning. It was too large and expensive to compete naturally in the growing second car market represented by smaller vehicles such as the Nash Metropolitan. A woman seeking a stylish personal automobile might instead have preferred a Thunderbird, an imported MG or Austin Healey, or simply a regular American car in a color of her own choosing. The La Femme offered exclusivity, but it offered it in a form that risked making its owner look as though she had driven away inside the cosmetics department. Sales were poor, although the exact number remains unknown, because Dodge recorded the La Femme as an option package rather than as a separate model. Most research places total production below 2,500 automobiles across both years, but any more precise figure should be treated cautiously. Sparse promotion, limited dealer availability, high cost, narrow styling, and weak understanding of the target customer probably all contributed. The concept was discontinued after the 1956 model year, and no 1957 La Femme appeared to accompany Dodge's newly redesigned forward-look cars. The 2-year run contained no sedans, convertibles, station wagons, or compact derivatives. Every genuine La Femme began as a custom Royal Lancer 2-door hardtop, with the 1955 and 1956 versions distinguished primarily by their colors, fabrics, accessories, body details, and updated Dodge mechanical specifications. Surviving examples are now extremely rare, particularly when complete with their original purses, compacts, umbrellas, rainwear, storage boxes, and unique upholstery. Many accessories disappeared early, and restoring a car correctly can require years of searching for fabrics, trim, badges, and tiny personal items that were never expected to become museum pieces. Time has been kind to the La Femme because history has allowed it to become several things at once. It is an example of clumsy gender marketing, an artifact of post-war suburban life, a rare specialty Dodge, a showcase for 1950s color and textile design, and an exceptionally cute automobile. Its social assumptions deserve criticism, but its appearance does not require an apology. The 1955 version is soft, cheerful, and almost absurdly coordinated, while the orchid-colored 1956 model can look genuinely elegant. The Dodge La Femme failed because it tried to sell an idea of womanhood rather than learn from women themselves. It recognized an important market, but reduced that market to lipstick, handbags, and pastel paint. Even so, the car's charm survives the thinking behind it. Beneath the stereotype was a handsome Virgil Exner hardtop with V8 power, imaginative colors, remarkable fabrics, and accessories that collectors would now guard more carefully than jewelry. It was misguided, patronizing, impractical, rare, and adorable. A boardroom fantasy on white wall tires and proof that a bad idea can still arrive in a very pretty package.